All right. This is the Tell Me About It podcast. I'm Stella Graham. This is where I get to talk to interesting people who know a lot of stuff because I need it, because I am a little bit thick, people. My guest today is the fabulous Marco Di Pinto. Hello.
Hello, Stella. How's it going?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks.
Now, for anybody who doesn't
Perfect.
know Marco, who doesn't know Marco? Everyone knows
Who
him.
doesn't?
But for anyone who doesn't know him, he runs B Comedy UK. He put on a lot of comedy shows. That's how we met. You're also the guy who runs the Bill Hicks fan page for anyone who loves that awesome comic. But the thing that I want to talk to you about today is you once told me you are or were a professional footballer. And the more
I
we chatted
was,
about
yes.
it, you told me about a thing called futsal.
Yes. So futsal is basically five-a-sides. So I played 11-a-side for like 12 years since I was like 4 years old. And then I switched. I started playing this sport, futsal. Futsal is basically for football players who failed. Uh, if you were shit at 11-a-side, then they send you to play futsal. So I was actually much better there. So I started when I was like 16. I started to just play futsal, and it was interesting. It's very different from football. It's like I always say, it's like table tennis and tennis. Very different sports, even if they look very similar. So
so
the pitch it's much smaller. The ball is much heavier. So there is a lot of differences
So,
between the
for
sports.
anyone in the UK that has played five-a-side, futsal is not quite like our version of five-a-side, is it?
On five-a-side, you play like the ball is always in the pitch. Like there is no, you play with it's like a cage where you play basically, right? So you don't,
Yeah,
and
some
the goals are very short,
quite
while
low.
in
The crossbar's quite low.
yeah, they're quite low. While in futsal they're a bit higher, and there is a bit of different rules anyway. But it's a cool sport. It's a lot of tactic.
Hmm.
So tactic it's very important in that, and it's quite different from football. You run much more than football. So it's like even if you are the forward, the striker, you defend all the time. So it's quite hard.
Okay, so you went from playing 11-a-side. Where on the pitch did you play in 11-a-side?
I was playing left back,
Left
and
back.
then yes, and then in futsal just striker.
Why
So
not?
why not? I always like to score goals and stuff. And yeah, it was good. It was good.
What's annoying is, I mean, we're good friends, and when you first told me about this, I was like, is he full of it? So I had a look, and there is actually footage of you being annoyingly good at futsal on YouTube and scoring goals and stuff like that. But so I mean, contact wise, would you say it's because 11-a-side can get pretty rough? How do you find futsal as a sport?
I think it's more tough than football. There is constantly physical contact in futsal. I mean, especially in Italy, it's not just physical contact because you're just playing, but it's just because you're fighting all the time. Because that's what Italians do.
So is this
So
is this
there
like the
is
sort of ice hockey of football where
yes,
okay.
100%, 100%, very similar to that to what they do in America.
See, I'm
And
quite
there is
surprised
there
by
is
that. I was just going to
yeah.
say, I remember watching Italian football in the 90s growing up. And it seemed to me that if anybody even like nudged, this is 11-a-side, right? Serie A football, they start tumbling on the ground and crying and, you know.
Yeah, they're pussies. Well, in futsal it's the same. Like the referee stops the game every 2 seconds, but it's just there is a lot of fights that take place in on the pitch. Like little things that you probably don't notice as a if you're just watching the game. But
Mhm.
little things. I have a few stories there. I think I've told you a few already,
Yeah, go
and
for it.
especially in south of Italy,
Okay.
it's quite rough. I'm just thinking of one story that is probably like the worst that I've had. So basically, in our group, in our league, we always get to play near Naples.
Hmm.
If you don't know, Naples is like the Croydon of Italy. Can we say that?
Sure,
I don't
why
know.
not? You can
It's a
say the
very rough.
Coventry if you want. I'm from Coventry.
The
That's
co
fine.
Yeah, you're from it. The Coventry of Italy.
Yeah.
So we always get to drive to Naples and play against these extremely rough teams. And once we couldn't find this pitch, like we were driving and the pitch was nowhere to be found. So we were driving inside of a forest and we
Right.
were going down, down. I was like going down to hell, basically. We were like, oh my, we're gonna die. This is where we die. It's fine. At some point, there were so many trees and at some point we see a carbonized car
A what?
inside of a tree.
A carbonized car.
It was literally stuck in a tree. So first of all, how the hell can a car get inside of a tree? Like, it was literally on top of the tree, just stuck in there.
A car wedged in a
carbonized.
tree.
So we were like, fuck, we were so scared.
How do you even get a car into a tree?
That's what I'm trying to figure. Like, what did they do? Did they
Was it a
kill
small
the
car?
person? No, it was like a proper, Fiat, this Italian brand,
Yeah,
Fiat, like 500. It was a big Fiat, big car.
See, to me, a Fiat 500 is not a big car. I thought they were little.
The 500 is little, but it's the same brand, the Fiat, that does big cars as well. It was a huge car, and it was just black, and it was inside of this tree. So we were
when you say carbonized, you mean they burnt it out?
Yes, and there was literally you could just see the structure of the car. You could just see. We were like, you couldn't even see the lights or the
I've
seats.
seen a couple of cars that have been burnt out in my time, especially near the odd football pitch, abandoned, but not a burnt out car in a tree.
Like stuck in it. So
like
it was
right
so
high
weird.
up.
Yes, very high up. So we're like, how? So we stopped there for like 10 minutes trying to, what do we do? Like, what if this happens to us? And my dad was driving me. So it was my dad and my coach. It was 2 cars. So eventually we reached this pitch. And as soon as we arrived, there's 2 people that tried to ask for money. They were like, if you want to park your car here, you need to pay. We were like,
if you want to park your car here, there's space in the tree.
There's 2 free trees.
Yeah.
So you're like, no, we're not going to pay for it anyway. Then we get into this weird place. And the crazy thing that happened where we were getting ready for the match, we were in the changing rooms. And I clearly remember my coach was talking to us, was like, okay, this is going to be tough. And then someone started knocking on the door, like very hard way, very violent way. He was shouting or screaming something. And he enters the changing room and he just threw this massive bag, very heavy bag, just on the floor of our changing room. And he started talking. And he was probably like 16, 17, this guy, this kid.
Yeah.
And they start saying things like, when you play here, you can't win, you need to lose. If you don't lose, we're gonna kill you. We were like, I was 19. This was 2008. I was terrified. Seriously, I was like, what's going on? And then he opened this bag and he had a gun in the bag. He started, and nobody believes it. He started pointing the gun at every single of us, and he was like,
a gun.
There's no way. A gun, a proper gun. A gun, as you say in commentary, a gun.
Oh, okay. It's not a gunner in Italian.
A gun, a proper gun.
The gun.
The gun, and you shoot people. So that thing, and we were like, okay. My coach was like, okay, guys, let's just let them win. Otherwise they're gonna kill us. It's clear.
Yeah.
And so for the whole bloody game, it was all like punching us, and there was this guy. He kept pinching me on my belly, just like that, and then slaps and punches, and the referee couldn't do anything. There were like 200 people, 200 supporters of that team.
You're getting punched. It's like, ref, he pinched me on my belly.
Yeah, like literally, ref. And he couldn't do anything. It's like, if I blow the whistle, these people are going to kill me. There were like at least 200 people, 200 supporters. And it was funny because my dad was the only supporter of my team. So it was like, you see these 200 people wearing white and blue, and just my dad in the middle of all this, just scared, terrified, just like that, looking around. So
you sure he didn't at one point, he like joins the other side. He's like, hit him, especially number 6. He's my son.
He was probably cheering when they would score. So, and I was shaking for the whole game, just shaking. And we lost 8-1 that game. And we were a very good team.
Who on your team dared to score the goal? Was it you?
I scored with a penalty.
You didn't have the sense to miss it.
But it was insane because the stupid thing was that this was just the first leg. Then they were supposed to come to our city to play the second leg. And we were quite I'm from a very rough place, so we prepared for the game quite well. So we called people. It was like 400 supporters for us. So we basically gave them the same treatment. It was just a fight. But I'll tell you just this crazy thing that happened. As soon as the ref blew the whistle for the kickoff, like my captain, he kicked the number 10 of the other team leg, and he broke his shin pad. Like this is something that I've never seen. Shin pads are quite hard.
Yeah.
And so we just see this shin pad just flying around, and his leg went like this.
No.
He literally broke. He broke his. It's just. It was crazy. It was a crazy game.
Oh my god.
And they were like completely different. They were really nice and kind. We were like, dude, like 2 weeks ago, you were animals there. So and then the amazing thing was that we won the game 9-2. So it was 8-1, 9-2. We went to extra time and we won in the last 12 seconds. We scored a goal. So we actually we won. Like we passed. Wow. We get through the stages, and it was insane. Like it was just amazing. But
so did anybody get shot at the end?
That would be a great finale of it. Like someone the referee maybe that gets killed. I know it was a lot of fighting and stuff. So, but I can say this story because these people are really ignorant from that place. So none of them speak English, so I'm safe.
I see. Right. None of them. I
feel very comfortable.
The internet.
Probably not. So I'm like, fuck it. The first time that I say this story ever online. So I'm like, yeah, no, they don't even speak Italian. Come
on. So that's obviously the worst side of futsal you've ever seen. Because if it was like that all the time, I guess you would have stopped playing.
Well, that's why I did.
Oh, was that your last match?
But this is probably, let's say, the worst story because there was a gun involved. But every Sunday was like fighting. It was just too much, It was like, I don't want to do this. It was good money. It's a great life because it was my dream to be a football player. But at the same time, you're like, do I want to die or, do I want to maybe a different job where I can, just go to work and I feel safe,
So when you watch 11-a-side now on TV and you see all of the tumbling on the ground and everything, and you're like, and you get paid how much? Whereas you had to go through hell.
Guns and people pinching on my belly, like.
Well, who knew that was going to be the most offensive injury? Marco, whatever you do, don't pinch him on the belly.
Don't pinch. But it was fun. Of course, it was a great time for me. Then when I moved here is not a professional sport, futsal, so they don't pay to play basically unless you're like a top Brazilian player. Yeah, it's not a professional sport. So I played for 2 years and then I stopped.
Where did you play here?
In Leighton.
Okay.
The area was Leighton. So we were played every Sunday. It's a proper league. It's like the top league. It's like the Premier League of futsal. But again, there is no fans. There is no supporters. It's completely different.
You turn up into Leighton and you're like, there's no cars in trees. There's no guns in the changing room. Guys, Are we even playing futsal?
Where is the excitement? So
somebody's got to make you run. And how long are the games then? How long is a match?
You got 2 halves of 20 minutes each, but every time the ball goes out, they stop the time. So a game can even last 2.5 hours. It's very long.
Lots of running.
Yeah. But yeah, again, this was just one story. I got many stories, but I mean, the next episode I will tell you more.
Sure.
It was a bit crazy.
So do you think for anybody who's done 11-a-side who fancies giving futsal a shot, do you think it's better than the UK version of 5-a-side? I mean, I should think you're probably a bit biased towards it, having played it.
Yeah, I guess futsal is much better in Italy in terms of quality. Like the level is much higher. But here it's just everything is nicer here. It's just there's more respect. There's more fair play. While in Italy, it's wild. I mean, especially in the south of Italy. In the north, it's quite different. But when I came here, to me, it was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, you can't talk to the referee. It's like, you respect the opponents as it should be, as it's supposed to be. So I really like
south of Italy, futsal is like football crossed with UFC fighting.
Yes, you said you talked about wrestling, the previous
Yeah, yeah.
with a guest or something. So yeah, we should do a cross episode of that.
Why
Yeah,
not?
and you played football, right? Where did you play?
I mean, I used to play, yeah. So I played 11-a-side when I was a teenager with
Okay.
Coventry City. Who else, of course? But then,
Wow.
as time wore on, I discovered drinking. This was the 90s, Marco. This was when you could get into a nightclub if you looked old enough because the bouncers didn't ask. So I started
Very
getting a bit
different.
more interest in nightlife. Then I stopped for a bit, and then I picked it up again, sort of mid-20s. Played a little bit in Gloucester, huge team,
Yeah.
and then briefly for a
Premier
time out
League.
in New Zealand. Yeah, yeah. But then I started doing comedy and hung up my boots for a while. Apart from that brief
Nice.
time you and I played,
Yeah,
and
we played a game together. That was fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You proved why you were a pro by just like smashing in
Yeah,
five
yeah,
out
yeah,
of
sure.
six cuts. All right,
That was fun.
everybody loves a shout out. So, would you like to shine a spotlight on a mate?
Absolutely. There is this comedian that I love. Her name is Saffron Herndon. She's
Hmm.
American. She just turned 17. She's been doing comedy since forever. Like she started when she was like 6 or 7 years old. I think
What?
she's amazing. I think you've seen probably a couple of videos. She's great.
Yeah,
I'm a
she's
very
really
good
good.
friend with her family and her dad especially. They're amazing, and I'm sure she's gonna become a star sooner or later. So check her out on YouTube.
All right, lovely stuff. Thanks for the tip. All of the links to most of the good things you do will be posted here on YouTube. Thanks for hanging out,
Thank you.
Marco. Always a pleasure.
This was fun. Thank you very much, Stella.
All right, cheers.
Thank you for having me. Bye bye.
Bye.